One would think that putting a light on a locomotive might be a little obvious in retrospect, but at first, trains didn't have lights at all. This was for two reasons. For one thing, portable lights, especially large ones mounted on a locomotive, weren't really quite developed in the way we would think of them. They had smaller lamps, but, well, they didn't have electricity at the time. And there was also differing opinions regarding the need for lights on locomotives. That remained even into the 1900s, and to this very day, generally across national lines. Early trains simply didn't run at night, which kind of made the whole thing irrelevant. I mean, if you're not running at night, do you need a light? Well, actually, in the modern day, we might still say, yeah, you do, but back then, you weren't running at night, so the lights weren't really a thing. But the problem was the trains were so useful that they wanted to run them at night. They wanted to run them all the time. So over here in America, we started working out ways to put a light on a locomotive. As early as 1832, Horatio Allen, an American inventor and civil engineer, created one of the earliest versions of a locomotive headlight. But this really wasn't much of a headlight in the traditional sense. It consisted of burning a pile of wood on a flat car that had a giant reflector behind it on a second flat car. And both of those were pushed by the locomotive. Okay, I don't want to come down on Horatio. He was a really smart guy, and technically, this did work, but this was hilariously impractical. This was not going to be a normal thing, and it wasn't. There were other experiments being conducted with smaller lights and more practical ones, generally gas lanterns, that were basically put in a sheet metal box with a reflector behind them. The first mass production of locomotive headlights of that type started in 1838 in New York, and by 1850 they were put on pretty much every kind of train in America. But believe it or not, for a long time, using headlights on locomotives was actually very controversial. Some argued it was more of a hindrance than anything, because some felt that it didn't serve any purpose to the engineer. Even if the headlights spotted something, there's no way he'd be able to stop the train anyway, and it didn't help him to see his switch lights. Quite the opposite, it could obscure them. But this argument didn't really address the other reason why headlights were starting to become used, and that's for visibility to people not on the train. It's easier to see something in the dark if that thing is somewhat illuminated. I mean, heck, it's easier to see them in the daytime when they're illuminated. They're more obvious. And in the late 1800s, it started experimenting with electric headlights on trains. And by 1915, the United States Congress passed a law mandating that every single train had to have an electric headlight. And that was the way it was going to be. But that was just in America. In the UK, they handled things a lot differently when it came to the lights. While we mandated that our trains had to be able to illuminate a person at least 800 feet in front of the locomotive, the UK headlights, well, they existed, and they had separate ones for day and night usage, but those were primarily used to increase the train's own visibility, and not really powerful enough to properly illuminate the track in front of the train. The reason for this is that the UK didn't think that was necessary because most of their lines were fenced. A lot of ours weren't, so there really was much less of a chance of there being an obstacle, and even if there was, the British felt that the engineer wouldn't really be able to stop regardless, with or without a light. Our 800 feet is not enough to actually stop the train, it just makes us feel better, you know? As a result of this disagreement, well, most UK engines just don't have proper headlamps. Ours are generally centered in the front of the train, at the top or the middle. But in the UK, they're off to the side. Again, just kind of there to make sure people around know the train is there, but not actually to illuminate the track for the drivers, because the drivers should be paying attention to the signal lights and not the track in front of them. Sounds weird, but I mean, it does make sense when you consider how trains tend to operate. In terms of the different kinds of lights utilized on trains, well, we've already talked about Mars lights. I have a whole video about them, so I'm not really going to go into detail about them again, but they were basically oscillating lights that were considered safety devices on a lot of American railroads. They were never federally mandated, but railroads liked to have them because they made the lights more obvious. They made them shimmer, and a lot of earlier diesels especially would have Mars lights equipped. These days, they don't, because there's a federal mandate that requires the use of ditch lights, sometimes called auxiliary lights or crossing lights. You see these on pretty much every American diesel now, and these are additional lights in addition to the normal headlight that are lower and flash back and forth, generally when the train uses its horn or is going slowly. The ditch lights are actually Canadian in origin, introduced in the 1960s by Canadian National. By the 1970s, Transport Canada made them a requirement on their locomotives, and we in the United States were like, those actually are pretty good ideas. So we made them a requirement on December 31st, 1997, with only limited exceptions allowing for historical equipment, which translates to steam engines don't need the ditch lights, but everything else does. With the ditch lights in place, Mars lights were no longer needed, though Mars lights are still produced for fire trucks, for example. But there are other lights, in addition to both headlights and ditch lights. There are what's known as classification lights. These are getting rarer in the modern day, but they were used for a long time, and for a while, very common. These are sometimes called marker lights, and these are utilized to provide information on the type and status of a train. Traditionally, and this can vary between country and railroad, but generally speaking, the lights consisted of 3 different colors. White lights indicated an extra train, as in a train that isn't scheduled, but added because they needed it. Green lights were displayed on a regularly scheduled train that was being followed by additional sections, and red lights indicated the rear of a train. These days, the first 2 generally aren't used anymore, only because everything's so digital and electronic now. You don't need a visible indication of a train's status, because we're all interconnected, there's radios, it just isn't needed. The red lights, however, are still a fairly common sight, just to show the back of a train, no different than the brake lights on a car. There are also emergency lights, and those turn on when there's an emergency brake application on board the train. They're usually red like the rear lights, but these ones often flash to indicate, hey guys, we got a problem, emergency, something went wrong, the brakes, hopefully we stopped, because if not, we're in trouble. That's what the emergency lights are for. There are strobe lights too. These are a little less common, but these are generally seen on remote-controlled locomotives, which I could also do a video about because they're pretty interesting. Strobe lights are seen on remote-controlled locomotives in order to indicate to everyone around them that there's no one on board the engine. So don't try to wave or get anyone's attention on the locomotive because there's no one in there. They're somewhere else. Or it's being remote-controlled. And it's an additional safety feature just to warn everyone, like, oh, okay, there's no one in that one, so we probably shouldn't expect it to adhere to hand signals directed at it. Strobe lights are also sometimes seen on regular locomotives with a crew, just to make the train more visible, but that's generally only in very busy yards and at night. On passenger coaches, there are also door indicator lights. These lights appear above each external door, and they illuminate whenever the door is open, just to show the passengers, hey, there's a door here. Come on in. They're also helpful to the crew, as since they only illuminate when the door is open, well, the conductor can see, oh, that light's still on, so that door's still open, we should probably close that. And then there's the end-of-train devices. These are somewhat related to the rear trailing red lights I mentioned before, but they are a bit different. They are actually a replacement for the caboose, and I have mentioned them when I talked about cabooses, but let's go into more detail about these ones. They aren't just lights, though they are partially. End-of-train devices, or EDTs, are sometimes also called EOTs, or FREDs, FREDs, or SBUs. I feel like we should standardize what we're calling these, but whatever. These are electronic devices that are mounted at the end of freight trains, and actually appear in 3 different categories. Dumb, which only provide a visible identification of the rear of a train. Those ones are just lights, basically. There's also average intelligence. That's what they call them. You're average. You're very average. The average ones come with a brake pipe pressure gauge, in addition to the light. And then there are smart units. The smart units not only have both of those things, but are also capable of sending back data directly to the crew in the locomotive via radio telemetry. And the train devices were introduced to, yes, replace the caboose, but also, well, reduce the crew size. Because the reason the cabooses were there was for, a crew to be back there. With these devices, you don't need a crew anymore. With the cabooses, they had tail lamps, which also function for the end of train lights. But the devices also have the lights and do a whole bunch of other neat things. In effect, you just don't need cabooses with these things there, and thus most North American, especially, railroads use them now. Elsewhere in the world, they're also starting to be used, but it varies quite a bit. So if you see a light on the railroad, anywhere, red, white, blue, actually scratch that. Why are you on the tracks? Get off the tracks! You're not even supposed to be there, dang it! Till next time, this is Darkness, and I bid you all a fond farewell.